Would you rather have $100 million or would you be okay to influence 100 million people? Which would you rather do?
They don't do it for money. The driving force is never the money. They think money is a byproduct of the thing which they are doing.
Can't just say, well, I use $100 million to influence 100 million people. It doesn't work like that. What is driving that level of 100-hour weeks and sleeping in the office? Is something beyond money that is driving that.
They live for paychecks, they study for salaries, and they live through weekends only.
3 months ago or 6 months ago, I would have given you this corporate answer.
The pattern which I have observed is that people who are actually at a really good stage, who are CEOs or have done in life, right? Not only CEOs, but maybe at a huge post, who are loving the thing they are doing. They don't do it for money. The driving force is never the money. They think money is a byproduct of the thing which they are doing. If they are a startup founder, right? They love to solve the problem, and that love makes them make more money, right? I think that's the whole pattern for the people who are actually doing and cracking the mind, right? The other way around, the people who are trying to go the upstairs, but their approach is different. They live for paychecks, they study for salaries, and they live through weekends only, right? Then how should a person change their mindset, right? That, okay, what is the ideal mindset should they be keeping? Second option, what's the right way to find a mentor as you got a mentor? And I truly also feel that, okay, mentors change your path, because I think this podcast also started because of a mentor, right? I was doing an internship and he was my CEO, and he suggested me that, okay, if you want to do this, start a podcast. And we just did it. So mentors change the life. Then how do you find them? How do you approach it?
3 months ago or 6 months ago, I would have given you this corporate answer saying, okay, you work hard and you find who you want as a mentor, and that you go and ask them. Your big answer is when you're ready, the teacher finds you from. And it is, I've seen it repeated, that it is your time, it is your ability to think about so many things that you want to do, and you actually put this out saying, okay, it would be wonderful if I had somebody to guide me, and that is sincere and purposeful. The mentor appears. There's enough movies that talk about it. If you listen to Naval, he speaks about this all the time, that the universe is conspired to work in your favor, but you have to believe it first. It is conspired in a way that you can think about one thing and it will happen, but you have to think only about that. You have to be so obsessive about it that things actually start falling in place. And that's the same with the mentor. So I'm not saying people should go home and meditate saying I need a mentor, but you're so clear about your purpose, you're so clear about what you want to do when you want that perspective. In most cases it appears. What doesn't hurt is to actually reach out to people who you believe can mentor you. And I have this in that same presentation. The worst answer you're going to get is, sorry, no, I don't have the time. And I get enough requests that I had to, unfortunately, say it. But there are some very sincere people who I have mentored, and I've said, okay, I would like you to read this book and come back and tell me what you think. And I've had mentees who have just downloaded a review and told me what's on the review. There's enough reviews about any book. And I've had mentees who just absolutely read and digested every page of that book and said, I like this on this page. So you know that who you're going to be spending time with to push for you. So I would say finding a mentor is more to do with what your purpose is first. If you're extremely interested in fintech, if you're extremely interested in startups, you're extremely interested, and then you start narrowing down. I'm interested in startup, fintech, neobanking, I go further and further, then you will say, okay, there's only literally 4 people who are doing this, and find if they can find time for you or people in their team. The great thing about the Indian startup ecosystem is that you can literally work without having an office. The startup ecosystem is so thriving and so connected that you can say, can I use a meeting room here? Can I do that? They all are very, very helpful. So you don't have to necessarily meet with the CEO, but there's a core group of people that are around him or her who can also help you. So I don't think finding one is difficult. The easy way that people do it is send a email or LinkedIn or something and say, okay, can you be my mentor? That's really not the way to approach it. I think you do a little bit of work. The second aspect is what I said, which the mentor finds you and they see what you do as well. I think I missed the second part of the question. How do you find a mentor? And then you had another question follow up to that.
Yeah. So how do you change the mindset?
See, for me, I had in front of me what I could achieve, and it had less to do with, again, the money. It was about, could I be the CFO of a 30,000 strong organization? Could I be the CFO of a $1 billion company? Could I take a company public? Could I buy out a company? And I was thinking initially on financial transactions. But then one of the interviews that I had, and one of the board members asked me a very interesting question. Said, would you rather have $100 million or would you be okay to influence 100 million people? Which would you rather do? And it's a very interesting question because you can't just say, well, I use $100 million to influence 100 million people. It doesn't work like that. So it's a deep question. And for me, the answer was natural. I always felt that the more people I influenced, the more it was. But then he asked me to detail why I felt that. So that's another way of looking at it, right? So do you have a solution or do you have a technology or anything that you think can change the lives of people? The money is just, it will come. Non-Musks of the world, they don't have to work at all. What is driving that level of 100-hour weeks and, sleeping in the office? There's something beyond money that is driving that. So that level of, I would say, maniacal focus is what gets people to do what they do and where they are. Don't get me wrong, money is good. It's a great thing because your house is there, your bills are paid, so you focus on all of this. But that's not your focus. Your focus is what's the problem I'm solving or what is the new thing that I'm bringing to the planet. That mindset takes time because we're cultured in our country, and I'm a product of that. You have to pass your 12 standard with flying colors because you have to get into a good college. Then you have to get good grades because you have to either do when I passed out, we had 4 jobs: chartered accountant, doctor, engineer, and governor. There was no IT boom or anything of that sort.
It's still the same, just engineering is replaced by IT.
Yeah, so the government job was the IT job, as I say it sometimes. But then they would say, get something stable so that what's your real goal? Make sure you get married by 27 or 26 and then have a kid by 29 and second kid. So your path is laid out in front of you very clearly. And we're cultured to think like it's not wrong. That India has changed. This India where you can literally do anything. We've opened up to the world. The world is literally looking at us. There are people who are doing startups at 16. There are whiz kids doing robotics much earlier. At the same time, there are people who are pursuing, things like, you can actually be a sports person in India today and live a very good life. I'm not just saying money, but live a good life. You can be a UI, UX designer and live a very comfortable, luxurious life. And I told my dad, listen, I want to do a UI, UX design. And my dad was not a confrontation person. He would have said, okay, let me focus on the other children because this way, this is over. So that's the difference, that the world has changed and India has changed. So I think mindset wise, there's inspiration all around. I forwarded that video of this young person winning the Paralympic.
Yeah.
Sheeple. Some people who saw the video cried, and all of this is in front of us. Instead, there is a billion dopamine distractions which we choose to focus on. So the mindset really is, how do I grow? What do I do? And it doesn't have to say that I want to have the best podcast in 10 years. I've identified a podcast as my means. I make it the best I think it is. That's really what counts. So that is the mindset. How can I be a better version of myself? How can I be a better version than yesterday? How can I be? And that will usually open you up to multiple ideas. 3 years ago, had anybody told me, you're going to be teaching yoga for a living, there's no chance I would have laughed at them. I would have said, yeah, maybe I'll be doing yoga. But it's so ingrained in just that period of time that my life's purpose is beyond just doing presentations and being a CEO. I'm very grateful and thankful, but I just felt that there was something else that I wanted to. That's the whole point of being curious. So I think early on, you don't fall into the rut of, I need to do this by this time, this by that time. And also see if you can limit your time that is away from watching and reading about what others are doing in a sense of dopamine. And I say this now for the fourth time. If you watch Instagram for half an hour, 28 minutes of it is about people who are living the wonderful life. 2 minutes is about self-improvement and reading, or not even 2 minutes, only 1 minute for half. So that's the part. I'm not saying you should watch 29 of this and 1 of that, but find that balance. Then there are inspirations that come across in multiple places. A close friend decided during COVID, because she was working from home, that she started taking pictures of the dishes that she was cooking. Right? She's got about 30,000 followers on Instagram. And hotels now invite to come take pictures of their food and dishes. And she stays in the most luxurious hotels for free, and she puts her own review. It was just a passion. But had she just not been curious about it, or said, okay, let me just see what this comes up with, and that talent is hidden and it's lost to the world forever. So today she's making enough, if not more, than her regular job, that she has the ability to choose her passion. And that's why when I spoke at VIT as well, I said, what do you guys do outside of study? That's when the options trader guy came up. There was an agri-tech startup. That is the point of being curious. It doesn't have to succeed, but that mindset will ensure that you are not sitting quietly and you accept what happens to you. You say, okay, this hasn't worked, let me try something else. It's not about success or failure, it's about keeping the mind open. And most people would do that. I've seen them succeed in ways that, you cannot even fathom where they are or where they were and where they are today. And there's a number of success stories. So the mindset really is one that requires cultivation. It's not something that will happen immediately, but you build it, you see. And for me, the best investment in that was reading. When I started reading, I think it opened up the world. So, okay, most of the time they end up reading a book, and I end up buying 6 other books because of what's given in that book. There are some concepts, and you end up buying 6 other books, and then that 6 becomes another 5, 6. So for me, it was reading. For others, it could be podcasts. But keep that curiosity alive. That is my little bit that I will give, and that requires work. The interest to take the phone and look at that Instagram reel. You have to say, okay, I've done my 20 minutes. I'm instant going to take the book. You have to cultivate it. I have a timer on all my social media. I don't necessarily follow them all the time, but at least I'm reminded that, okay, you're not spending enough time. So the book is on. There's a book on. That's why the house is cluttered with books. There's always, I cannot complain that I have to go look somewhere for one. So there's something that I can grab and read. Well, I keep that as my excuse.